Commission May 18, 2023 meeting to order. Roll call. Commissioner Miyagi,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor,
Present.
Commissioner Gordon, here, Commissioner Walcott, here, and present myself. Do we have any agenda changes, additions, and or deletions?
Yes, consideration of the commission. Moving non-action item 4, public art and private development, to the beginning of the meeting before action items.
Okay. Do we have a motion for that?
No motion needed, just
Okay. Well, then
if you're in agreement.
we're in agreement. Do we have any public comments for non-action items?
No public in attendance at this point.
Okay. I guess first agenda, approval of minutes from the April 20th, 2023 regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Commissioner Miyagi,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes,
Commis-
although should I abstain if I wasn't there? Does it matter? Okay.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Walcott,
Yes.
and yes for myself as well. Do we have any city official comments?
Actually, tonight we don't have any staff comments, so we'll just jump right into the items.
Fantastic. Okay, first non-action item. Public art and private development. And this is the interim review of public art and private development art plan for the 3200 Park Boulevard, former Fry site development project. And we have a presentation by Jennifer Easton, public art consultant and applicant project team. So
Yes, thank you.
please start.
Before I invite Jennifer Easton to join us with her informational presentation, I'll just present a quick summary of the project just to refresh everybody's memory. So this is an interim review of 3200 Park Boulevard. It's not an action item. So this project includes substantial modifications to the existing cannery building, construction of a new parking garage, and construction of 74 new townhome units. The Public Art Commission gave feedback back in January 23, the commission meeting in January, to the Sobrato team, and is now asked to give feedback to the applicant team on the artist selection process, the project artist, and any other feedback as they begin their design development process. Just to remind the commission that in December 2022, applicant, based on the feedback from the Council Ad Hoc Committee, indicate their interest in commissioning art on site, at least or a portion of total art budget, rather than paying the entire budget to the Public Art Fund. So this project is structured as a two-phase project. So project budget for phase 1 today is $420,000. At the initial review meeting in January, the Public Art Commission was supportive of the plan to use half of the public art funds for art on site and half as an in lieu payment. Commissioners also encouraged the applicant to incorporate public art that would celebrate themes of cultural diversity and the unique history of the project site and the nearby community. So again, today the Public Art Commission is asked to weigh in with feedback regarding the artist selection process. The applicant has undertaken the artists that the project team intends to work with, and any other considerations the applicant should keep in mind as they enter into their design development process. So with that, I want to introduce Public Art Administrator with tons of experience and art consultant for the Sobrato organization, Jennifer Easton. Hi, Jennifer. We can see you, and if you have a presentation to share, you're welcome to share it.
Terrific. Thank you, Nadia. Let me get this right. Are you seeing my screen?
Perfect. Yes, thank you.
Yay, I love when that happens. So good evening, commissioners, and my thanks to you all for allowing us to provide this project update at the time. As Nadia has said, we've been working on, in the interim, we've been working on both learning more about the project history, as well as the design team is working more on the building site and building design. Obviously meeting with a historic resources board, the architectural review board, and doing some project site work. Your initial comments from January were very helpful in our considering our project direction for the public art. So thank you for that. And at this point, we'd like to bring the exciting updates, which is the artist selection and a little bit of the background of where we are with building design. Let's see if I can get my it happens like this, right? There we go. So for the presentation tonight, we'll do a quick building design update. I will update you on art program development and the artist selection. Present the selected artists, give you some of the next steps that will be occurring in the general timeline, and then leave a moment for some time for question and answers if you have some. So building design update, just as a reminder, probably most of you very familiar with the site. This is the parcel that we're speaking of, the old Fry's, the former Fry's site, plus the adjacent parking lot and the adjacent parking lot sites to the north and the south. As we've discussed previously, this part of the building is intended to be removed, and the research and development is currently happens there. We'll move into this part of building. This part of the site will become where housing phase will occur. These parcels will be housing and a proposed future park. So that is a refresher on the site. So in this phase, which Nadia referred to as in the budget, is the $420,000 art budget. This is the phase that's happening, the removal of the this end of building, the creation of parking, a low parking structure. I think it's a 2-story parking structure just north of the building, and then refurbishment of the existing cannery building. So just to give you some information on what's happened building, I think the refinements have really brought it a lot more aligned to its kind of historic, with the monitor roofs, really looking at the historic fenestration, echoing that in the current designs for the window system. As you can see before, it was 2-part windows. Now it's the more mullioned window, just making that kind of more of a standout. They've also changed the layering or the heights of the parking structure to make it more synthetic with the building itself. And I think one thing that you can really stand out is that they've allowed this raised platform, which was the old loading dock level, to remain. And so it will no longer be a flat entrance, but on the north side of the building, it will be a stepped up entrance to access the building and the research and development, the more kind of commercial or business side of the building. Building access. So, and then similarly on the south side, you see again some changes in the fenestration, and just as a reminder, this actually these windows will probably be removed because this is really one of our key potential sites for the artwork. So we want to leave that in the dialogue for the opportunity for the artwork to express itself. We may, just going back, we may look at some opportunities on the plaza over here, because indeed it will connect to the residential, which would be kind of where we're standing from this view of the building. But really thinking about the opportunity for the artwork being more on this side and along here, due to the fact that that's where the park will be, more of the potential bikeway, and also the potential residential, the city rebuilding. And this is just another view. So this would be the housing, the relation between the cannery with the renovated monitor roof to the potential housing that will be going in phase 2. And then just a reminder, this would be the west facing wall of the building. El Camino is behind where this photo was taken from, and is in a potential opportunity for artwork. As you may know, if you walk down here or drive down here at all, you lose the sight line pretty quickly. So really what you see here is the best potential opportunity, but could definitely be an opportunity for artwork. And a smaller opportunity just adjacent. So this is relationship is that you can kind of see, here's that covered walkway. And so this area is what we're seeing right here. These trees are currently intended to remain on the site, so it's something that we would have to take into consideration. But again, an opportunity potentially to create a theme that comes back and is revisited in another part of the building. So again, just another opportunity for the artists to consider. Right, another aspect of the project that is not for the public art is there will be the development of historic signage, or signage rather, about the history of the site. That will likely go in the area, up in somehow in this, incorporating the interior, or if it's for public access. But again, it may also find its way, wrong direction, but may find its way also on this walkway as well. So that's still being determined at this point. So what we've been working on up to this point is really looking at the historic background. As we talked a little bit about it in the meeting in January, it really is a fascinating history of the site. A Chinese immigrant, Thomas Chu, who came to the United States following his father's arrival, his father and mother's arrival here, and went to work with his father and took over the cannery that was originally in San Jose, and then built the one here in Palo Alto, and was the third largest cannery in the United States at the turn of the 20th century, which is rather remarkable, but not given that the Valley of Heart's Delight was really, a center of the food growing community in the United States at the time. We had the wonderful opportunity to meet with Gloria Hom, Thomas Swing Chu's granddaughter, and she's done an amazing amount of research about the project and really conveyed the cultural significance and the cultural history of what that work involved, including some connections to Giannini, the owner and founder of the Bank of Italy, now Bank of America. And just his role in creating a work opportunity for mostly immigrants to the region. And so it's just a fascinating discussion that we hope can weave into the story artwork as well. And actually has some very fascinating parallels to contemporary Palo Alto. So we're really excited to see where the artists might think about that. We've also been looking just at the architecture and the current nature of the site itself and the area around the site, the river, the creek that runs adjacent to the site, just some of the beautiful balance between the built environment and the natural environment that surrounds the site. Some of that I also think it's coming into play and into dialogue with artwork. So these are the sorts of things that we started to use to build the selection of the artist as well. So and I'll talk about that in just a moment. Again, analyzing the building, where the opportunity, how do the changes to the building impact the potential opportunities for artwork. As we talked about before, it's a rather constrained site as far as like art sculpture or things like that. So we really did have them focusing on probably more two-dimensional expressions, possibly mosaics or cut metal. But it could definitely take a smaller, related sculpture in one of the patio areas. So we added that to the mix of artists we were thinking about as a potential opportunity. And then looking at the budget, as Nadia referred to, this phase of the project will take half the budget, half the public art budget, because the phases are roughly split in half financially. So the other half of the funds will be provided in lieu to the public art program at the time that the second phase of the building, the project scope, that the housing builds out. So that could be an opportunity to continue this dialogue with history and the house, by the city with those funds. They might add it to the park funds occur. It's really up to the city how those funds get used in the future, as you well know. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the research, about the artists. So we really did start to focus on making this an interesting opportunity for, so specifically we were looking at women artists, and we were looking at artists who have an Asian background and whose work is in dialogue with the thinking about the immigrant experience And that was a very broad focus. It could be pictorially, it could be more just conceptually. We really kept it very broad. We put together a list of 14 artists, mostly from California, but some from New York and other places as well. And it was fascinating research, and it's really a rich area of discovery for these types of artists who have their a variety of work. So we were looking at really different work. So that was exciting. So we shortlisted 3 artists for interview. And at the end of the day, we selected artist Kyumi Shin of Shingray Studios from Los Angeles. And now I'm going to show you a little bit of her work. Kyumi has a very strong public art background. She's probably completed, I'm trying to remember, it's about 12 pieces of public art. She has an equally strong studio practice, which was very exciting because the way the two practices interweave are very sympathetic to each other in a really, I think, a way that will be very dynamic for this project. She also has a lot of great experience with different materials, which you'll see in some of the examples I'll show you. So that was really also very interesting to us because we knew she could think about the site in different ways with different materials. And she also has, I worked with her once in the past, and she has a great interest in dialogue with the community. She's finished a project in San Jose that had a significant amount of dialogue with community, and was able to really think about those ideas that came from the community, incorporate them in interesting ways. This piece is an electronic lit, LED piece. It is actually a moving piece at the Netflix studio in Los Angeles. And it shows abstracted historic clips of film and sound tests. So it really reflects and gives a kind of a backwards looking, forward looking notion to thinking about the film in filmic arts. This is the piece it's actually in fabrication right now. I believe, I think this is, I forgot to ask her because it's such a good rendition. And I think it's still fabrication, but this is, I may be wrong, could be finished, but this is the piece for San Jose for the new Vietnamese American Service Center. And originally what she started to look at is the landscape of Vietnam and how to incorporate that on the roofline. They really wanted something that would be illuminated. So she definitely looked at the roofline. And then through her dialogue with the community, they really wanted to introduce more architectural elements. So that was incorporated as well. And so this piece really provided what they wanted, which was something that is both characteristic during the day and almost a beacon for the community at night. This is she recently completed for a BART station in El Cerrito. And I just laugh because she made this all by hand. She made all the ceramics. There are these 2 like 30-foot long mosaic. They're gorgeous. And they really, the theme is home in this piece. So in the one you're seeing the detail on the right, she's thinking about the different types of homes. So here's an Ohlone hut. Here's a nest, a bird nest. Here's a historic typical El Cerrito historic home. And this is one that faces to the west. So it has a west side view. Looking out towards the bay. And this is called the Hills piece, which is looking towards the east, facing the east. So as you come out of the station east side, you do have a view to the hills. And this is more typical homes that are actually characterized in the mural itself. A piece she did for Chicago, again, on architectural theme, integrating the infamous wind of the Windy City into. And again, thinking about the sites, and you'll notice between the 2 transit sites, as you can imagine, transit sites need very durable materials, which is what she found for these 2 projects. And again, something we were excited to see her expertise with mosaics because it is something that we had been thinking about. Again, some past mosaic work. This is for Norfolk State University Light Rail Station, which is next to a historically Black college there, and just bringing the history of that college into the station itself. And then briefly, I wanted to just touch on her studio work because it also deals with layering of Western and Asian cultures, her own history, sometimes stereotypical histories. So really kind of looking at how one thinks about cultures and communities historically, how they integrate into dominant cultures, and just that play of one role in a bigger community. And here's some detail because of paintings that she recently completed as part of an exhibit she did in, this is in France, I think it was. But again, that play of the family photos, historic, as you can see, historic European, Western European imagery, and then more traditional Asian history. So that's a brief overview of our artist's work. Where we are and things is that we are getting under contract right now. We will be working on conceptual development for the summer, during the summer, and then our estimated return to the commission with the early concepts will be in late summer, early fall of this year. So we really are working to get her work. What we want to do is just we're hoping to have like some sort of community meeting out in the neighborhood to hear their thoughts and ideas about things to include, or things that are important for the community, and then bring that into dialogue with what she's interested in pursuing in her own practice and in this opportunity on site. So that's kind of the overview. I will say we particularly appreciate, because the Historic Resources Board is having a meeting next week, and they're like, what's going on with the art? We're like, no, Arts Commission gets to do it first. So thank you for having us tonight and fitting us into your schedule, because we really did want to bring this to your for your comments before we brought it to any other committees or commissions within the city. So it's we appreciate it. And I'll take any questions. And I just wanted to introduce, I see Tim Steele is on the meeting as well now, who is the Senior VP of Real Estate Development for Zapata. So if you have building related questions, feel free to those down.
And just a quick comment before we jump to question section. Let me check if there is any members of the public in the audience for comment. And I see no raised hands, so you may see.
First thing first, thanks so much for the thoughtful presentation. And I appreciate the fact that you said in your artist selection, you had originally 14 artists, and the criteria were local artists, a woman artist, and if I heard it correctly, someone that has the immigrant experience. Did I hear that correctly?
I wouldn't say that they were necessarily immigrants, but that they were they were of an Asian descent, so would have had but had a close dialogue with immigration or thinking about the immigrant experience in their work. So I wouldn't say they were first generation necessarily, but or they were immigrants themselves, but they could have been first or second generation, something along those lines. So that's really what we're looking at.
Got it. Thanks so much. I appreciate sensitivity to that.
So any other questions or comments to Brado team?
Jennifer, thank you for the presentation. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you.
And I'm excited about the artist and some of the things that she's done, and especially the 3D stuff. I think that's kind of exciting for public art to make it more dimensional than just have it flat. So I'm looking forward for her to come up with some plans and ideas for this building. So I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Can I push you a little bit more? When you said a 3D, which of the pieces are you thinking, like the sculptural pieces, or more? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Well, I liked the piece that was on top of the Vietnamese building in San Jose. And I think it gives that building a little more oomph to have something like that. Yeah. And to be lit at night too. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah. And of course, as you can appreciate with this building, we will be walking a fine line, because it is a historic building. And so we want to be, we want to consider those folks in the community who are very interested in the historic nature of the building, but they also seem to have an interest in the art as part of that dialogue for the building. So we're really excited where that can go. But thank you for that comment.
One of the things that jumped out at me was the first image you showed of the kind of dynamic one that took video clips and things. And I was thinking, because you did make a comment earlier that that the historical context also ties into some current context here. And I was thinking that is interesting too, that it's on the former Fry's site. So something that was electronic and Silicon Valley and
Mhm.
kind of marrying the old with the new. And it seems that's a little bit part of her practice anyway. So
Mhm.
that seems relevant, especially to that location.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. Yeah, you're spot on. And I think also the thing that's so exciting about some of the history of the cannery is that Thomas Finchu is known for he developed the first asparagus canning process, right? So he was a leading innovator, and what's Palo Alto known but for lead innovators. So it's just really interesting parallel. So I appreciate that comment.
Sorry, I want to ask another thing.
Sure.
In either her or your investigation, as you dove into this a little bit, is there any artifacts existing, like historical photos and all of that stuff from the time, and particularly from that building or the experience, the cannery or any of the things they developed or patented?
When we met with Gloria, the granddaughter, she did have some historic photos. There are some that we are out there that we've seen on the internet. There actually is a team that I mentioned that doing that research about the history of the site itself, and doing going to History San Jose and doing going to various archives. And so I know that they are definitely looking for those types of things, and we plan to get together with them in the very near future. I mean, they're still in the process of their development, research as well. We're hoping so, but I'm not sure what a treasure trove is out there.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Just so I understand, so and I know this is not part of the Public Art Commission's sort of mandate, but just to have full context, you've referenced some type of historical designation, or some type of what is signage?
Okay, yeah.
Can you kind of provide context of how that will look visually, the size of it, and
It's
how?
not great question. It's not designed yet. So I think that's I don't know, Tim, if you want to provide more of an update on that, you're welcome to, but go ahead.
Excuse me. I assume you're referring to the interpretive?
Correct, the interpretive signage.
Right. So we have a separate historic consultant that's doing the research for that, as well as taking what they call a HABS, which is a historical photograph documentation of the property. But we're still on the early part of collecting and searching to what's available, as Jennifer referred to. We also, Jennifer referred in her discussion that Thomas Tooth actually had their larger first cannery called Bayside, which is in Alviso. And we understand there might be some artifacts and photographs there too. And that one has already been designated historic landmark in San Jose. And we understand that they have some things there for us to look at. And then there's also some things that we're looking at the San Jose Historic Museum around the cannery business and around Bayside Cannery. So we're in the throes of trying to go through and gather and review all that material.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think this is a really exciting project. I'm looking forward to hearing more as it moves on. I do have a question, though. I guess I was thinking that the artwork was going to be kind of a historical, I don't want to use the word timeline, but a historical narrative. So I'm just curious if you can talk about whether you're going to be asking or kind of encouraging artists to utilize the historical narrative that's going to be in the, I don't know what you called it again, I apologize, but the signage. Or is there, because I was thinking that actually the artist would be helping design that signage, but I guess that's not the case. So I'm curious if that's a thought, or if there's any way that the signage can somehow be connected into the artwork. Is that okay?
Yeah,
I was wondering if there's going to be, I guess,
But-
let me just put it this way. Is there going to be any connection of any form? So there's connection.
Tim, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that we got a couple different things going independently, but at the same time, hopefully might merge into collectively telling a story or multiple stories. As we gather and research what's available, it's not just Thomas Finchu. It's the cannery business, it's the agricultural business, it's the immigration at the time. It's all these different elements about the history of Santa Clara County, the history of this site, the history of Thomas Finchu. We are required to have been interpreted, which are these signs, partially within a retail space that's been set aside at the corner of the remaining cannery build portion, that the city's ad hoc committee, which was made up of 2 council members, negotiated in our package of how we're going to approach this property. And then separately, we have the HABs, which is a EIR CEQA mitigation for part of the history of this. And then we have the artists and the art, which is being driven by the art ordinance. Luckily, we're looking at all this together. Jennifer and the artists will be working with the historic consultant, reviewing what they've gathered. Jennifer was included in the interview with his granddaughter, Thomas Boonshoe's granddaughter. So we're trying to have this as a teamwork. I don't think they're going to stand totally freestanding because I think we're pulling from the same sources. And there is an opportunity maybe for them to speak together, but it's a little early to appreciate what might rise to the top and how that might come together.
And to follow onto that, I also am very conscientious of the fact that there is an interest, and that's why I would add another layer into what Tim mentioned, is that many women worked at this cannery, and that's one of the reasons I was interested in trying to find a woman artist. So we didn't just look at women; there were a couple of guys in the mix. But and I think it's important to also, and I think in reading the and talking to Elise, Nadia, and reading some of the mandates of the art program, is that you also want public art to stand alone as public art. You want it to be art, a piece of art, and not, you know what I'm saying. That we didn't want
it's not signage.
It's not signage, right? And so we want that to be art, a piece that is inspiring as a piece of art. And so I didn't look for an illustrator, and so I think it will be walking an interesting line. I think that's why can be is an excellent choice for this project, because of where her interests lie and that kind of playing the things. But I can tell you, it will not be a timeline. We'll have a timeline somewhere, I'm sure, but it will be in the artwork itself.
A couple comments. I remember in our visit with you in January, early this year, because the site itself is fairly large, and I understand it's being built out in different phases. And sort of one of the concerns I had mentally was when we looked at the opportunities right next to the commercial building, it seems like the location, the sort of the landscape, real estate is quite limited in size. And then I think we have some pictures of like the back of Fry's. Then the concern with respect to that location is the visibility of that. So, we certainly appreciate that you're producing a public art piece and want to make sure that, it's visible, it's prominent, and, so that will be something that we want to make sure we emphasize with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And also it is, Nadia, can you help me with the name of the park is nearby that
Bulway Park.
Yeah, and that also has a dialogue with Cannery. You'll have an opportunity when the park gets built. So I think there's going to be a really interesting regional, very neighborhood, I say, opportunity for various bites at the apple, as they say, of thinking about the history of the cannery, how it integrates to the larger community, both historically and contemporaneously. And I appreciate the comment of thinking about like having an artwork of impact as best as possible given the constraints of the site. And so I think also, the challenges are, where is the viewer standing from, as you can all appreciate, because sometimes you're up close, sometimes you're far away. So how do you think about that? Are you walking past it? Are you driving past it? So there's a lot of different, because there's roads right by there. There's going to be a park. There's going to be somebody will walk up. So we're definitely thinking about on both the historic signage and the artwork, those different like experience levels with the art.
Thank you, fellow commissioners and chair, for the great comments. Really, I don't have much to add. Jennifer's selection of Shin Grace Studios is just wonderful. Really, the work that you showed really the artist is able to take the site and present a real wow factor. And I'm just going to give a little plug for the old school mosaics. It's hard for me to believe that the artist created those tiles and the whole mosaic, and
Don't ask.
what a beautiful installation that was.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as Lisa mentioned, the video clips on the Netflix building. Wow, that's really an impactful thing. And just all the comments, I don't have much to add except for thank you. This is a thoughtful decision, and we really look forward to seeing what the artist has to present in August. Thanks.
So I forgot to add the best part. Her sister actually has a music school in Palo Alto. So if you had kids who went to the, was it the New Mozart School of Music? That's her sister.
Any other comments or questions? Jennifer and Tim, thank you so much for attending the meeting today, tonight and providing this informative presentation to the commission. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And thanks
Look
for
forward to
letting us.
coming back.
Yeah. Good night.
Do we move to the action items? Nice. Okay, so first action item is the California Avenue District mural. Staff is recommending the approval of conceptual designs for the 3 new temporary murals to be painted in California Avenue, June 1st through 9th. And Nadia, you'll be presenting for us. Thank you very much.
Once again, just gonna drive this presentation and I can commence my report to the commission. Thank you so much, commissioners. Before I present you the 3 designs by 3 women artists approved for this project by the commission, I just wanted to provide a quick refresher about the commission process and how we got here today. So this past winter, in December and January, the Public Art Commission staff launched a pilot mural program to bring more murals to Palo Alto neighborhoods and also its commercial corridors. So we launched a call for mural artists who want to be considered for the Palo Alto mural roster, guided by the 2023 Public Art Commission priorities and also the California Avenue District Public Art Plan. It was decided to commission the first murals as part of the pilot program on California Avenue in the California District. So back in January, staff opened also a call for walls. Identify privately owned walls to host those lawn murals. And we were successful in securing 2 locations along California Avenue. First is the exterior wall of Easy's Brooklyn Bagels. It's the wall facing El Camino Real, and it's a really busy public space. Of course, farmers market has right there. So there's also a line of acolytes, waiting for their bagels, breakfast at Easy. So very visual site. And the other side along California Avenue is the exterior wall of California Avenue, California Avenue Central, HOA at 160 California Avenue, is on the other end of California Avenue corridor. To anchor the event, additionally, the intersection of California Avenue Ash Street was, which currently closed to vehicular traffic, was identified as the large-scale round plain mural. So in spring, with the Public Art Commission approving funding to commission 3 artists create long-term temporary murals for on California Avenue, we returned back to the muralist roster. So over 250 artists, local, US-wide, international, applied for the muralist roster. And 218 of those applicants were accepted into the roster. Once the funds were approved, staff initiated an artist selection process and reached out to 37 California-based artists with from the roster with appropriate background and qualifications appropriate for this exact corridor. So the artists were provided with the design brief, and let me just jump to the next slide. The artists were provided with the California Avenue Master design brief, informed by Calif Public Art Plan, and also input from the hosts. So here you have a synopsis of the design intent for the murals for California Avenue. A selection panel of community members and stakeholders, including Cynthia Bramwell, artist and currently Coverly artist studio program resident, Michael Campilonio, California Avenue business owner, Judy Lulus, artist who created a temporary mural for the construction plans for the PD building, Jack Morton, a Cal District community member, and Commissioner Shen, representing the Public Art Commission, were part of that selection panel. So the panel reviewed a list of 26 artists and evaluated and ranked them according to their qualifications. So artists Nicole Ponsler, Olivia Lucy Unger, and Paz de la Calzada were the highest ranked artists based on their qualifications that were identified by the panelists and also approved by the site host and later Public Art Commission meeting. Public Commission. In April, we held a virtual community meeting with the selected 3 artists who present their past projects and also gathered input from the community members and site hosts to inform their mural designs. The recording of this meeting is actually available on our Public Art Program website. It also lives on the Public Art Program Vimeo channel. And with that, let me introduce you to the designs. So the first design, conceptual design I'm sharing with you today is by Olivia Lucy Unger. It's called Moonflowers for Georgia. So this is for Easy's Berlin Bagel site. So in here is this artist statement. This mural features a group of moonflowers, a plant native to Western USA, Central and South America. These flowers are evening bloomers. They open their several petals in the evening and close them in morning. Moonflowers have been the subject of fascination for generations. The Chumash Native Americans in South California integrated them into the creation story. The flowers are also a favorite of my personal hero, artist Georgia O'Keeffe, who wrote, "When I think of the delicate fragrance of the flowers, I almost feel the coolness and sweetness of the evening." Liv continues, "I'm thrilled to be painting these flowers among 2 other wonderful women artists for the festival." Here I'm presenting you with the design by artist Nicole Ponsler, which is titled Bloom. This design is developed for the exterior wall of the California Central HOA. Nicole's statement: "Marigolds represent the sun. They symbolize the power, strength, and light that lives inside every person. Marigolds speak to love, passion, and courage. The colors associate sunsets, which reminds us that life is short and we need to seize the day." Nicole continues, "My work is all about relationships with nature, with people, and with communities. I endeavor to create works that elicit a sense of joy and that remind us of our connectivity to the environment." So when developing her design, Nicole was particularly excited about the sense of community that California Avenue shows so strongly among its local businesses, residents, just like a strong community feel. Finally, here is 650 by San Francisco-based artist Paz de la Calzada, who we actually worked with in the past. As you may recall, she created a site-specific temporary project here for King Plaza, which was exhibited throughout summer 2020, the Labyrinth. So the proposed design to be painted at the intersection of California Avenue and Ash Street, which is close to vehicular traffic, with the exception of farmers markets, Sundays. Paz's statement: This mural expressed the relationship between California oaks and water in the context of the climate crisis. Inspired by Victorian wallpaper, I incorporate elements such as the leaves from many local oaks and organic patterns to contrast natural and artificial aspects of human culture. Using the fluid and organic qualities of water, I invoke the movement and vitality of these majestic trees, highlighting the importance of nature and the fragility of ecosystems that depend on water. This work is a tribute to the beauty and resilience of oak trees and the call to action to protect them. So PAUSE did extensive research into the types of oak which are native, in particular to Palo Alto and the part of the Bay Area. You can also see her signature flow-like line work that she incorporated in this mural. So it's a few words about the event itself and some exciting community participation volunteering opportunities. So the murals event will take place between June 1st and 9th. All 3 artists will be on site painting their murals between approximately 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. As I mentioned earlier, the 3 locations, California Avenue Central. So this is like closest to the LF train station. Easy's Berlin Bagels on the opposite end of California Avenue, facing Camino Real, and the groundscape mural will go right in the middle of the avenue at the intersection of Blav and Ash Street. Possible calls out of painting the streetscape mural actually will be working with community members. We already announced the volunteering opportunities. So she invites community volunteers, 14 plus, to help her paint oak leaves, weave them into her mural. There is a sign up registration link just to structure sort of that process. So please feel free to share with your friends, family. And also, I wanted to mention that there is really exciting great opportunities for the commissioners to participate and contribute to the event. So we really encourage commissioners to collaborate with staff in provide on-site support during the festival days between the 1st and 9th. For example, helping to greet community volunteers, make sure that they'll have waivers signed and they understand sort of like what is expected of them. Just be sort of like on call, assistant to 3 artists. California Avenue farmers markets are really busy, and there will be tons of people inquiring about what's happening. So also just being that sort of public point of contact and engage with the community, just talk to them about this festival, to participate in art, and also just the overall opportunity to introduce this pilot program and our aim to bring murals throughout Palo Alto, the neighborhoods and commercial corridors. So please reach out to staff and we'll work with you to coordinate those opportunities. And with that, the action item today is the approval of conceptual designs by the 3 artists to be painted on California Avenue between June 1st and 9th. Let me check if there's any public comments in place, then we can proceed to the discussion. And there's no raised hands, so I welcome your comments and questions. Thank you.
Would you please put up the list of criteria that was considered when? Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. 1 second. Here we go. Thank you for your patience.
Are you wondering if there's anything about, was there anything saying it should be Florida, or was it just coincidental?
Great question. Yes. So, the design brief that was provided to the artist was also actually very similar to the brief provided to the artist commissioned for temporary murals for the construction fence. But in general, that kind of part of feedback came from the host sites.
Oh,
They were just really inspired by colorful, bright, uplifting imageries of flora and fauna. And there was a strong desire to add that to California Avenue corridor.
It's just so interesting that it's sun and moon and they're the same scale and they're flowers. And then we had California poppies on country sun. So
Absolutely.
it's just it all. That's funny. That was, I think, was that you're getting at?
Yeah, I was just wondering how we ended. They're beautiful. And of course, I think the artists have the right direction. I was just interested with the moonflowers. I know we're looking at California and related to this area, and I don't see the relation there. So I'm just wondering about that. They are beautiful, and also just the connection with every single piece is floral fauna.
Yeah,
I just find it
it's
interesting.
a coincidence. Like I said, there three sort of like elements that informed the designs. It was the CalAV public art plan. It was also direct input from the hosts who provided their wall, and they're really excited about those natural elements. And also just general public input that also mentioned, uplifting sort of living organic forms. In relation to moonflowers, that's actually the question that we also specified with the artist. And I think this particular, the name of the avenue, California Avenue, also its connection to the Bay Area and state, just she wanted to celebrate the plant life that has been sort of historically in the sort of like in the context of many peoples who inhabited and resided here. And so moonflowers, I looked up, they were actually, yes, very popular as a remedy within the native populations. Native
Yes,
tribes,
I too looked up, and I see that connection, just not
Mhm.
necessarily as connected to CalAV and the floral fauna there. However, these are beautiful images, and I'm sure they will be appreciated by the public.
Let me double click on that. So the first thing in the design intent, it says the design should take inspiration from the California Avenue. Can we double click on that live link?
So that will take to the
okay, so that's not do that.
master plan.
But I
to
guess
public
I
plan.
guess the question is reference to flora and fauna.
Mhm.
I vaguely remember there was a particular. It's not all flora and fauna. It's sort of native flora
Right.
and fauna, right?
Yes.
So I think that's the part that you are kind of honing in on, which is, we are bringing something not abstract but
Mhm.
realistic, right?
Mhm.
So into these environments, and so I was kind of thinking about it. It comes up into context, right? So, for instance, when I'm looking at the Casa de la Calzadas design,
Mhm.
her language, her visual language is oak leaves, right? I mean, and we've all seen that. So the whole community has seen that. We see it all around us. So there's not necessarily an alternative meaning to it. However, if you bring in something that's visual that is not often seen in this locality, then it's by the population, right? What do these flowers mean to the viewers based on their own personal context or their cultural context? And I'm hoping that maybe we can sort of bring that element into consideration. So for instance, when I look at the marigolds, I actually have seen marigolds oftentimes, even though we don't see them planted locally often, but I see them in a lot of local celebrations, right? But I haven't seen a lot of flowers, and I just want to make sure, and it could be my own personal limitation. I just want to make sure that it's all positive connotations for the most part.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I appreciate the comment. I know, yes. So, I mean, moonflowers are native to California, right? And have been celebrated by the cultures through generations. And they are night bloomers. And maybe that's what we don't really notice them as, we traverse the streets during the day. I also want to mention that the design was presented to the hosts. These are murals for private walls.
Yes.
And they were, the hosts really resonated with that concept, and were happy and approved the design.
So I have a question that might help solve our questions. Is there going to be signage? And what will that look like, and how could signage?
Oh,
help
yeah,
that?
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
assuming there will, but I'm just curious what kind. And then
No.
the second thing,
That's so funny.
unfortunately, I won't I'll be out of town during that week, but I have to come by after and check out the murals. But the other question I have with pauses piece, how is it going to be protected, I guess? I know we've done these type of projects before, and we always talk about, lifespan and things like that. So I think it's really great. I think all of these murals are great, and I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll unfold with the first question. Yes, there will be on-site signage, like with all of our installations, murals, public projects, whether temporary or permanent. There will be signage with probably also a QR code that will bring the viewer to our virtual collection page with more context about the design, the artist, and media links to inform the artwork. In relation to pauses now, so this is a bit different from those murals mentioned on the walls. So with pause mural, it's a pilot within a pilot. Like I mentioned, the street is currently closed to vehicular traffic. I don't know how permanent this decision is and whether it might be reopened in the future, but this project is really an opportunity for us to observe how this mural will age and what its lifespan will be. And the artist is informed about that. She's on board. So we won't be maintaining or, coding that mural, but we'll study how well it will age. That will inform our decision in the future whether such streetscape projects are feasible.
Another off-topic question. I also think they're beautiful. I love the scale. I love the vibrancy. And when we've had smaller, if this is to scale, because we've had the smaller, so I think these are going to have a big impact and just add to the already vibrant art that is around with the signage and everything. But my question is, through our work plan, we have said that our priorities are, building community, encouraging playing, belonging, community participation that promotes shared experiences, public projects that continue to advance ethnic and cultural inclusion, social, racial, and gender equity. And when I think of these types of words, it feels like we're playing it really safe with flowers. Like there's, that is talking about the weather. We're not taking opportunity to deepen the conversation. And I just, I know it's a pilot program and we're going out with this, but, and we do have flowers there. I'm just wondering, as we, if this is successful and as we continue to develop, if we can add to some of these design intents to be a little bit more, to push the envelope a little bit. If we are sticking with this as priorities, which, we developed that, this does not seem to support that type of direction.
Yes, great comment. And, with the design brief and input from the hosts that artists received for this particular opportunity, these are the concepts that they came up with. And, for the private walls, they were approved with great enthusiasm. For example, and I hear your point, like Papac goes into sort of a great, like she touches on a greater question, besides painting beautiful leaves, she actually talks about, the chronic shortage of water in California and the enormous, climate crisis that we are facing. Right? So she touches on those bigger questions. But yes, absolutely, by all means, let's be thought-provoking with our future commissions. This is a pilot, our first baby steps. Nobody had in mind to play it safe and control the design development, but in consultation, the artists and the input that they received from the private owners, essentially these are concepts they came with.
I just had
Thank
one
you.
quick question. I asked Ben, if you'd be good enough to let me ask to your response, because I'm wondering if there's a way to see if I didn't do the research like other people did, but if the Chumash Native Americans, did they live in Southern California? Because that could be a connection, but it only says Southern California. So that'd be my question. That could support our initiative if there's some backing there. So I don't know if there's a way that the artist can research maybe and see if there's a connection. So thank you for interrupting, letting me interrupt.
I'm really looking forward to this project, and but I echo all the comments everybody had to say about the floral designs. I've done a bit of traveling lately, and I've seen a lot of murals in different communities, some really great murals. And I think, for me anyway, this was a way to point people to murals, and especially for that Walgreens wall or that poetic wall, poetry wall, that is, I think, in limbo right now, what's going to happen. But I thought this project would be a good way to show how murals can be done, and the different subjects that can be done in murals. I really like the streetscape one. I think you very rarely see that unless it's a crosswalk. Sometimes you see that in communities, you see crosswalks that are painted. So I think that's really innovative and for the street to really enliven that street. But it's a great opportunity. And I think there are some other floral murals already on California Avenue, the previous ones that were up. So I just, I agree with what everybody said, but I think should be a little more diversity in the types of murals that went up.
I appreciate the comment, and we'll definitely take this into consideration. And like I mentioned before, this is a slightly a new type of project for us. The wall murals are commissioned for private locations, and the designs were established in consultation with the hosts.
What question, did the other wall owners did they view the other projects that were happening on the other wall and on the street? Did they have that opportunity to
so
do that?
we had the community meeting with the artists and the hosts in April, right? When artists presented their past work, they were provided sort of like with some input about like what was exciting, and just what they wanted to celebrate, in their locations. So I know that actually the artists stayed in touch to make sure that there's no nobody crosses each other, and not everybody, for instance, painting the same motif, So yes, we presented the concept to respected, hosts, and designs were approved by them. And I think today's part of this public meeting, we're presenting all three to just general public.
I think I'll make a motion because I believe the concepts are fully developed, and we can, as we continue on with our mural projects, we can be more specific if we want certain designs, or we could add to a list of criteria. These are beautiful murals, and they will be appreciated by the public. So I would like to move that we approve the conceptual designs for these 3 new temporary murals to be painted on the California Avenue district on 2 private walls and space on the road at California Avenue.
Second.
Roll call. Commissioner Miyagi,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton.
Yes.
Yes, for me as well. I think this will be a wonderful beginning to our mural program.
Thank you so much. We certainly hope to see you help us celebrate the festival between June 1st and 9th.
We definitely, I look forward to that very much. Thank you.
Next action item is the Public Art Commission work plan, which I think is attached. This was further revised based on the draft that we presented at last meeting. And the action is to review and approve the work plan for 23-24 to be submitted to City Council. Imagine, I think, final version will have some artwork as well. Right?
If you mean the image samples?
Yes.
So yes, absolutely, we can accommodate that. I'll be happy to. Just make sure you make a friendly amendment to include that recommendation in
Yes.
the motion.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So friendly amendment to review and approve the PAC work plan, essentially in the form attached here to be supplemented with additional artwork as we have previously done in prior year work plan.
And do it a second.
Excuse me one second. So we're just approving. We don't need to go over it anymore. We're all good. Everybody's good. Okay. Just want to make sure.
I have a
Second,
motion. Oh,
second,
Great. Roll call. Commissioner Yaji,
yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon. Yes. Commissioner Waldock,
Yes.
and yes, me as well. Thank you. Next.
Thank you, commissioners. And for the context, the final version with the attached image samples will be provided to city clerks by June 1st, and it will be and the path will be included on the city council consent calendar for June 2nd. It's June 12th currently.
And just, we approved that just in case helpful to provide a little bit of context. Commissioner Gordon and I had attended the mayor and the vice mayor's, roundtable last night, and the various different commissions talked about work plan and how they used as an opportunity to consolidate their vision, team building, whatnot, and then also some of them express calendaring concerns and whatnot. But we didn't have those challenges this year, but maybe something to kind of think about in the future.
Thank you.
Nadia, may I ask a question? So the images provided for the work plan, the attachment of the work plan, please feel free to enhance those in any way you see fit, because I'm grabbing those images and I'm sure you have better.
Yes, we'll do. Thank
copies.
you for providing the list of projects to featured, and we do have high-res images for all of the past projects, special events, and permanent installations in the city.
Are we going to be having a meeting with the city council like in previous years, or is that to be determined?
Director Kane, do you know? You caught me.
Hello, commissioners. I'm Kristen O'Kane. So I believe the work plans, the intent of the work plans was to replace those joint study sessions, but if there's an opportunity or a need, I can certainly present that to city manager.
Thank you.
Final action item, collection care. Staff is recommending approval of maintenance fund in the amount of up to $6,500 for the neon artwork Excel by artist Brian Bowman, permanently installed on the facade of Palo Alto Arts Center.
Thank you for this introduction. I hope you don't sick of my voice yet. Let me share this slide, and I promise I'll make it quick. Okay. Share. Here we go. I'm sure you're all well familiar with this beautiful piece in our collection. So let me just brief you quickly about the piece, the artist, and why we are requesting funds for this comprehensive repair project. So Excel, a new neon abstract artwork that is permanently installed on the facade wall of the Palo Alto Art Center. It's by late neon sculptor Brian Coleman. So the art was created in the 1980s and was acquired by the city in 1986. The artwork is very representative of Coleman's iconic abstract style of war that includes colorful arching, looping, cursive shaped patterns from specialized glass tubes filled with glowing gases. Coleman was really a pioneer in the field of neon art and an integral figure in the 70s reemergence of neon as an art form. He was highly regarded across the United States and internationally, and he was exceptionally successful in Europe, especially during the 80s, which he described as his most prolific period. So notably, the piece that we have in our collection comes from that era, 1980s, so it's attributes to that period. So throughout its 40-year-old life, the artwork received maintenance and repair treatments, including a comprehensive repair project performed by the late artist in 2007, and several more recent repairs, and that included replacement of power transformers, timer device, detailed cleaning of maintenance, the tubes. It's a very delicate artwork. Unfortunately, recently, the artwork started again malfunctioning, and with several tubes not lighting up. And additionally, it was damaged during an inspection by an electrician. So it's important to treat this piece not as a neon sign, but a very valuable piece. So it is our approach to its repair. We reached out to the Museum of Neon in Southern California, MONA, where Coleman's work was actually exhibited on a few occasions. And so we asked them to help identify an art professional conservator who could provide a comprehensive conversation repair of the artwork. So the museum connected us with a neon artist and glass blower, David Svensson, who knew the artist really well and worked with him extensively for decades. And, they were close friends. And actually, the last 3 years, Brian's life, he spent with David and his family. And he willed him his studio practice, all of the equipment, original glasses, archival materials, etc. So we reached out to David Svensson, described the issue to him. He, as soon as he saw the pictures of the piece, he knew it intimately. He just from the looking at it, like he knew that it wasn't actually positioned accurately and needed to be done. So based on that scope, he provided his proposal for the treatment of the piece. Like I said, he's in possession of Brian Coleman's original, glass material and some original glasses. He's very familiar with his technique because Coleman rarely just used neon. He used other noble gases and combination of those to create specific hue and glow. It's a really complex, scientific-driven, type of art. So yes, I am sharing with you the scope of that repair. The artist will travel here from Southern California, carefully dismantle the piece off the wall, make a precision pattern of the support locations, wrap and transport the piece back to his studio. He estimates the repair process will take about a month. He will, create, handle the new tubing, like for that damaged part, ensure that all new electrodes applied on the tubing, it's structurally safe and electricity flows properly. Then he come back here to Palo Alto, reinstall piece, and he will also exchange all the transformers and to ensure the voltage is right. Set up the timer. The piece is it lights up in the evening. I think it stays up till about 11 p.m. each night. It's supposed to. And so he'll install the work, analyze it, test drive it, and just make sure that all high voltage wiring is spaced properly. So today we are recommending the Bill of Maintenance Funds amount of $6,500 for that project. And just as a reference, it was checking through past maintenance treatments, and especially the one that Brian Coleman performed in 2007, and his estimate was $6,000 then. So this, I think this is an adequate price, and we believe we couldn't find, a better person for this job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just have a question. What we're looking at is the piece that's across the top of the triangle. Is that that's what's one of the broken pieces? Yeah.
Yes, you see this striped central tube.
Yeah.
Let me go back and you can see the piece intact.
Oh,
You
okay.
see,
Okay,
this is
yeah.
when it was repaired and cleaned 2 years ago.
Just 2 years ago?
Yes, and it's another piece, so it has mercury. So there's a lot of fake neon pieces that are actually LED. So this is a very delicate and complex piece that uses different types of noble gases. There is mercury in those tubes with that glow red. Like, mercury enhances red. I'm learning a lot about neon art, but I'm just scratching the tip of the iceberg with that. But yeah, we need us who knows how to handle mercury, just to start with.
Speaking of mercury and getting a person who knows how to handle mercury, just want to make sure the person that is proposing to repair it has sufficient insurance.
Oh yes, I already obtained all his insurance certificates as part of the contracting process.
On that note, I move to approve the maintenance fund, the amount of up to $6,500 for the neon artwork Excel by Brian Coleman, install on the facade of the Palo Alto Art Center. Do I have any seconds?
Second,
Roll call. Commissioner Miyagi,
yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Waltuck.
Yes.
Yes, for me as well. Thank you so much. And I think next item is public letters. Do we have any?
We don't have any public letters this month.
Okay, great. Next item, general questions, comments, announcements, or future agenda items.
I have one future expansion or future item for the agenda. But a quick comment. As a kid, we got to play with mercury in school. They put it in our hands and we got to, all that. But anyway, so it's just nowadays they had a big mercury spill Martinez. They're trying to get clean. They don't know where it came from. But anyway, I would like on the agenda the expansion of the Public Art Commission. I think we briefly touched on it last meeting, but we couldn't really speak about it because it wasn't on the agenda. So let's put it on the agenda and really speak about that.
For the next action item?
Yes.
Okay, and that's great. And I'll have some updates for you as well. I had a chance to speak to the mayor and, so I'll be happy to circle back. And on that note, no more comments or concerns or announcements. Being adjourned.